Thank you, Sabrina. It's now my honor to introduce today's guest speaker. John Griffin retired after 30 years of service to the Marine Corps. He's a native of Quincy, Massachusetts. He and his family moved to Shrewsbury in 2013 after obviously many moves throughout the world as part of the service. He's been happily married to his wife and his best friend, Jean, for 26 years, and is the proud father to Jack and Abby. John enlisted in the Marine Corps in 1987 and was commissioned an officer in 1996. He served as an infantry officer, a reconnaissance officer, and time in special operations. He's been to 26 countries for deployments, training, humanitarian operations, partner and allied work. His combat experience includes Mogadishu, Somalia in 1993. He was a company commander in the Battle of Fallujah in November 2004. Additionally, he's a Bronze Star Award recipient from his deployment to Helmand Province in Afghanistan in 2010. John is a graduate of Boston College High School. He attended UMass for his undergraduate degree. He has 3 master's degrees, including one from Harvard, and he just completed his doctorate at Northeastern University, where he focused on developing artificial intelligence literacy education for senior organizational leaders. He currently works for the Defense Innovation Unit in the Department of Defense, where he heads the Boston office. Please give a round of applause for our guest speaker, John Griffin.
All right, thanks, John. First of all, I want to say I'm grateful to you, to who you are and your service to this town and this world. Right, you embolize, a life of service, right, to the community. It's all about the betterment of others, right? You really set a high example, so I'm deeply appreciative to you. I think the only thing you missed on that was I got an A+ in creative writing in college. And man, I keep hearing that bio, and just reminds me of how old I'm actually getting. So for those of you who are waiting on the barbecue, the last time I rehearsed this, it was about 13 minutes. So if you want to set your watch, you'll know when to start paying attention again. But in all seriousness, I am truly honored and humbled to be here today. I think the word honor gets bandied about way too often. But I genuinely hope to honor the fallen and their families with my words, although I know I'll likely prove inadequate for some. And I apologize up front for that with all my heart. Despite our nation's imperfections, there's so much I love about this country. Since enlisting in the Marine Corps in 1987, one thing has remained constant, and that's America's unwavering love and commitment to her military. Regardless of your opinions of our wars, you've always expressed political dissent without disrespecting or making us feel unloved for serving. I regret that some of the Vietnam and Korean vets didn't have the same experience when they first returned, but I hope they feel honored today. And if you are here today, I deeply honor you. But I think it's important to note that today is not about those of us who served in uniform. That's Veterans Day. Today is about those who died wearing the uniform. Sometimes you'll see on social media or in person people lashing out when someone says Happy Memorial Day or thank you for your service, because that's largely what Veterans Day is about. You must understand that for some, right, saying Happy Memorial Day is like saying to them, have a happy day remembering your dead buddies, right? I apologize for being so direct, but it's important to understand that for some, this is a deeply personal and painful day. The research shows that losing a buddy in combat is a lifelong pain, similar to the pain of losing a family member after 6 months. But that pain level endures for the rest of your life. For some, the pain is compounded by survivor's remorse, also known as PTSD with the added layer of guilt, right? Thanks. It's just an unending belief that we weren't good enough, that only the best were killed, or that we didn't do everything we could to save them. The depth of this guilt is especially intensified for those of us who led forces in combat and lost them. For me, that number is 21. 21 American citizens that I know who were personally killed in combat. My best friend, my good friends, colleagues, classmates, Marines, sailors, soldiers that I've led. It's a brutal number, but it's not uncommon. Yet despite all this, our feelings don't begin to compare to what the families of the fallen are experiencing today. and quite frankly, every day. Now, I don't want to dissuade you from thanking veterans and acknowledging families today. I know it's all well-intentioned and it's important, but it's important to distinguish the significance of this day from others. So soon I'll suggest 3 ways that maybe we can honor the family and fallen in unique ways. Okay, so I'm a Boston guy, so that was a wicked, solemn start. But I also want to add that while I can't speak for the families and all the fallen, I do want to tell you that my buddies, my friends, they would tell you that it's perfectly okay to go out and celebrate. Well, not just okay. I think my buddies would tell you, like, go rage, right? Go have an awesome time. Like, have parades, go to the beach, go to the Cape, have a barbecue, wear the most gaudy red, white, and blue stuff you own. And especially dads, I'm talking to you, like, wear the stuff that embarrasses your daughters, because that's our job, right? I think my friends would want you to be proud of being American, enjoy the freedoms that they died protecting. But maybe, just maybe, at some point, you know, during today or this weekend or the days that follow, remember a service member by name, right? Read their citation, read their obituary, right? Maybe just spend 10 minutes, you know, thinking about their life of service. If you knew them, share stories about them, right? And it's okay to laugh and cry the same tears, right? It's perfectly okay. If you don't know any, look at my best friend, Ray Mendoza, Big Ray. We're godparents to each other's children. Like many of us, Big Ray didn't come from a stable or privileged background. He attended inner city public schools, yet he was selected for a PG year at Blair Academy in New Jersey. There he earned a full athletic scholarship to wrestle at the Ohio University. He would remind me it's important to say the. He was a Big Ten wrestler, right? It's the best in the nation. He was then commissioned in the Marine Corps. And unbeknownst to anybody else, he was still training to achieve his dream to wrestle in the Olympics. And in 1996, he was selected as an alternate for heavyweight Greco-Roman. And of course, in his own humble way, he shows up to work on Monday morning, and he's like, hey, sir, do you mind if I get like 6 months of temporary duty? Because I just qualified for the Olympics this weekend. So that's merely one of the many examples that highlight who he was and who I remember him to be. You hear stories from the other guys that wrestled with him that year. They would tell you that the other alternates were still hyper-focused on themselves, right, in case they got their chance. But not Big Ray. No. He told everyone across all weight classes, whether freestyle or Greco-Roman, hey, if you need to roll, right, if you want to practice your techniques on an upcoming appointment, anytime you want to throw, just let me know. I'll be there. And that's just who he was. In 2005, while leading his company in a combat operation near the Syrian border, he was struck and killed by an IED. The song in his tribute video is still played on the radio today. I think that's a sign. When I hear it, I'm often inspired by it because it brings back great memories and inspires me to be better. But as Memorial Day and the day of his death get closer, my wife and I are like, nope, can't listen to that one right now. It's a lifelong pain. Another close friend of mine was Doug Zembiec. Doug was a warrior in the classic sense of the word. It's not mine to say, but others have said the Battle of Fallujah will go down as one of the keynote battles in our nation's history. It required vicious house-to-house, room-to-room fighting, the ultimate in human competition, where 2 men go into a room and only one comes out. In that environment, during the battle, Doug earned the nickname the Lion of Fallujah. That's pretty remarkable. 3 years later, back in Iraq, Doug was killed while leading a special operations task force full of U.S. and Iraqi soldiers. The last time I saw them both was in Iraq in 2004. Their unit was leaving Iraq, mine was just arriving, and we spent a few hours together that night. I think about that night often with great joy and sadness, and I still wonder to this day, why am I honored to befriend and serve along men like these? Like, who am I? I'm nobody. But I'm forever grateful that they lived. 2005 and 2007 is not history. It's real, and it's today. So maybe for a moment, look up and learn about my friends Ray and Doug. Say thanks. They'll toast you back. Of that, I'm sure. Maybe today another way to honor the fallen is consider reaching out to the families. While it's emotional for us, it's unimaginable for them. It's a day of remembrance of the sacrifices of these families, too. They raised children with the values of service, selflessness, and being committed to something greater than themselves. And for imbuing them with these high ideals, it literally cost them their children's life. So maybe we find time to say, hey, we're thinking about you today, your child, Your family sacrifice is not lost on us. We're grateful to you. So tell me more about your son or daughter. Well, maybe there's another way to honor the fallen today. The reality is, among us who served, we didn't agree on everything. Big Ray, he was a Yankees fan, but I still forgive you, buddy. Despite our differences in demographics, no one, and I mean no one, went to war for a domestic political platform. They went to war because they believed in what America stands for. There was a time when American values stood for things like life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. It stood for individual rights and democracy, the rule of law, the separation of powers. It stood for equality and justice. We used to be inspired by quotes such as, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country." Or, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of our creed, that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Or, "In the face of impossible odds, only people who love their country can change it." Our nation's in such a dark and bleak space right now, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find consensus on anything. The last time we were this divided socially and politically, we went to war against ourselves. A far less inspiring quote is, "Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it." In the Marine Corps, we teach that being a warrior is being a defender of the weak. We go to war to defend others, even for those who hate us, because we believe in being warriors. We believe we're defending those who are vulnerable, and we're upholding American values and ideals. As ugly as war may be, someone has to do it, and we believe we'll go into war to do good. So why not me? Here I am. Send me. The Greeks have 6 different words for love, and I find that helpful. We only have one. Right? For us, whether we're posting on Instagram, right? Or like, "I love cheeseburgers," right? Or "I love you, Grandma," right? We all use the same word. But the highest form of love is defined by the Greeks as agape. And agape is a self-sacrificing form of love. Right? To give or earn that love is something I can't describe, but it might be the most powerful force for good I've ever experienced. To love someone or something, a value, an ideal that you would die for, that's agape love. That's not soft. That's a warrior level of love. And I truly believe still that America has a love like no other. I believe we retain an infinite capacity for good, both in resources and who we are as a people. So maybe then, if we want to honor our fallen, maybe we as a nation, we begin to heal. Maybe we try to find ways to come together as Americans once again and love what being an American was actually meant to be. Maybe we find ways to put aside our differences and come together for a greater good, not blindly and vehemently commit to a divisive political platform. And we start the healing process. And maybe we start today, right here, right now, in Shrewsbury. Maybe Shrewsbury becomes the epicenter of this healing movement, right? This butterfly effect of a national communal agape form of love for one another, because we're Americans first, and the world needs that to mean something. So maybe that's how we honor our fallen, to actually be the people they believe they were protecting when they were killed. Okay, if you're still listening, thanks for your patience enduring the musings of an old man. I struggle because I don't know that I'm handing over a better world to my children than the one that was gifted to me. I want to be clear, this is not a reflection of like false nostalgia, claiming it was better in the past, like not at all. This is a call to heal now and make the future more hopeful. I don't blame younger generations for our challenges today. In fact, just the opposite. I blame mine, especially my demographic. And now I'm asking for your help. When I look at my children and their friends, it gives me hope. And when I look at millennials and Gen Z, I see generations of citizens that are way more empathetic. They're way more open-minded. They're way more collaborative and entrepreneurial. And you give me hope. And I see you too, Shrewsbury, taking the time on the kickoff weekend of the summer, taking a moment to remember and pay our respect to the fallen and the families. And you give me hope. Because maybe one day, we'll will indeed return to be that shining city on the hill where we can proudly boast, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Maybe one day we can be that nation again. May God bless America. Thank you, Shrewsbury. I love you. All right, man, you're up.
Get the damn